Mr. Buck.
Good evening. My name is Ken Buck. I'm running for District 7. I have 35 years experience in education. I spent 25 years in the classroom. I've been a building administrator. I've also been a district office administrator. I've worked with multiple school boards across different levels. I think I've been attending school board meetings at various districts for probably 15 years now. I have a unique approach. I think one of the things that I always said as a principal was we always made our decisions on what was best for children. I always say as long as we do what's in the best interest of children, we answer that question, everything else will take care of itself. I look forward to trying to help more with the children of Lancaster County. I have a master's degree in education leadership, so I think I can bring a lot to the table with that. And recently I got a phone call from the governor's office inviting me to be a part of the governor's education task force as well. So I feel like that's going to be something that I can help benefit Lancaster County with, because I can work and influence perhaps some of the policymakers at the state level, because so much of what we deal with in the local area comes from the state. Thank you. One of the problems that I see is not really for our school district. It really is systemic through all of education right now. And that's the fact that there's two groups of people rather, that want to do one thing. Teachers want to teach, children want to learn. That's it. We've got way too much bureaucracy, way too much red tape that is eliminating true education taking place in the classroom. There is no 5-year-old alive or 6-year-old alive who gets up and goes, I get to go to school today and take a standardized test. I can't wait to get there. I got my pencils sharpened. They want to go and learn. Children, when they are young, they're eager to learn. And we as a school system, and I say this not for Lancaster County because so much of what goes on is systemic, but we've got to do things that keep children engaged, because children want to learn and teachers want to teach. It's really that simple. People talk about our shortage in education and they say it's more pay. Some of it. A lot of it's because teachers just want to do their jobs. And that's one of the things that I want to focus on. I've got a background in having gone through similar things in other districts, and I will tell you that it's a challenge, and Act 388 makes it even more of a challenge because it really reduces the amount of funds that you have when you look at growth. I've dealt with those projects before. There's a lot of different types of bonding fundings that can be done. When we talk about rooftop fees, I will tell you that I am intrigued a bit about those, but I will tell you rooftop fees aren't going to build you a whole new school. They may do you some improvements to an elementary school. They may help in some areas like that, but they're not going to build new schools. The impact fees, again, as several have alluded to, there's so many limitations on impact fees that make them somewhat restrictive. They're not the panacea that they appear to be until you really start looking at them. And two, I'm also, like everyone else, watching with an eye to see what the state Supreme Court does with the lawsuit involving Fort Mill, and to see if it comes out on the other side looking different as it looks currently now for impact fees. Growth is interesting when you look at Lancaster County, because so many people want to point to the North Panhandle, and indeed that's obviously where a lot of the growth is. One of the things that I'm hearing from County Council that I'm finding intriguing is a lot of the growth is now coming a little further south and starting to work its way down towards Lancaster. And that's going to present some challenges for the district. And the flip side of this for a lot of folks is not only are we going to need some new facilities with that growth, but we've got some existing facilities in our district that are also going to need some repairs, some buildings that have been there for a while. So it's going to be a unique challenge for the district to not only handle the growth that we've got coming, and I'm talking physicals, I'm not talking about teachers, because the state helps us fund those. So the more students we have, the more the teachers are going to, or more teachers the district is going to get funding for. But we're going to have to also, in conjunction with looking at how we're handling growth, we're going to have some facilities that are going to need some improving as we go forward too. So it's going to be a unique challenge. And it's going to take some folks who've done it before, because it's going to be a unique place for Lancaster County to be. I'm thinking probably 3 or 4 years down the road. I think Lancaster County as a whole does an exceptional job in recruiting and keeping good teachers. My wife has taught at 2 different schools in the district, so I've been able to witness firsthand. She's been in a number of districts. I will tell you that she tells me point blank that Lancaster County feels like home, and she's been a lot of places. But a lot of what is going on in education right now that is concerning to me is that we're not able to keep teachers like we used to anywhere. It's not a Lancaster County problem, it's everywhere. Teachers want better working conditions. They want to be able to teach, as I talked about before. Do they want more pay? Sure they do. But I will tell you that there are things in the teaching profession that trouble teachers, that make them walk away. The money isn't usually what it is. They want the freedom to be able to teach. I think they want to feel appreciated. And again, I think our district does a good job of that. I think we've got to continue to do more of that. And I also think we've got to be very conscious of what our teachers are going through on a daily basis and removing anything that hinders them from teaching.
The schools are investing $2 million on a partnership with Discovery Education to change how we instruct students in the district. From your viewpoint, what are the advantages of this? Are there any disadvantages? If so, what are those? Let's start with you, Mr. Buck.
Okay. He's referring to the STEM program. It is a great program that has children actually engaged in learning. In education, the key verb for us is engaging learners. And that's one of the things that the STEM program allows us to do. And we've alluded to also getting children prepared for things other than just college. Those programs are going to be able to help us do those things as well. I don't really see a lot of disadvantages to it. Obviously, it's going to be an incremental change. It's going to be a bit of a systemic change in how we instruct children. And it's going to take a lot of training among teachers. I will tell you that sometimes as we have in education, some teachers have to be dragged along a little bit. Others will jump on it immediately. I do think it's an absolutely wonderful program. I hope it continues to grow because, again, it's going to engage our learners and it's going to prepare them for careers that are meaningful for them instead of them simply going to college to get a degree that maybe they cannot use.
And Mr. Buck.
I too think that if you look at the historical data, things continue as we've already seen over the last 10 to 12 years. I do think another bond's probably going to have to be on the table. Unfortunately, because of the limitations in terms of what you can raise locally, be through Act 388 or the restrictions on impact fees, there really aren't a whole lot of solutions. Now, there are a lot of different types of bonds, but I think ultimately for the taxpayer, the one thing they're going to know is it's going to have to be a bond that they have to help secure and pay for. And I think if growth continues as it is, yes, I think that is going to have to be on the table. As I alluded to earlier, I'm intrigued a bit to see where the growth is going to go. A lot of the discussion talks about the growth starting to work its way down 521, down around Highway 5, and even further south than that. So I think the challenge for the school board going forward is going to be to work in collaboration with the county council and see where that growth is coming and start thinking about that. And I was glad to hear at the last board meeting that those things are indeed taking place.
And that was a lot of information in a very short time. Let's give all of our candidates a hand. And thank you very much. You are done, and let's bring